He was missing a crucial piece of the puzzle, the fixed point that keeps the body and soul in synchronization during the temporal journey. Von Neumann was able to determine this fixed point thanks to his study of the Apple of Eden. So Tesla came back to the project, believing that there was the smallest chance of success. But we have to seize it, you understand? Imagine the millions of lives we could save. Soldiers, civilians, your family. Boris Pash, October 29th, 1943. Hello, I'm Andrew, and I want to welcome you to Visions of the Past, a podcast all about the lore of Assassin's Creed. This is episode 89, and today we're going to take a look at the project that led to the disappearance of the USS Eldredge, Project Rainbow. Within Assassin's Creed, Project Rainbow has gone by a few other names as well. These include the Philadelphia Project and the Philadelphia Experiment. And because of this, Project Rainbow is the in-universe explanation for a hoax that originated in 1955. The hoax I am referring to is most commonly known as the Philadelphia Experiment. As the hoax goes, the USS Eldredge was fitted with experimental equipment while at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, and testing began in the summer of 1943. One test rendered the ship nearly invisible, with some witnesses reporting a greenish fog appearing in its place. It is said that after the ship reappeared, that some sailors complained about severe nausea, and that some were embedded into the ship's hull, including one who ended up a deck below where he started, with his hand embedded in the ship, as well as other members of the crew going mad. Some claims state that the experiments were to create stealth technology, and that the experiment was repeated on October 28, 1943. This time, the Eldredge disappeared, and in a flash of blue light, teleported to Norfolk, Virginia, over 200 miles away from Philadelphia. This claim states that it was seen by men aboard the SS Andrew Ferriseth, and then the Eldredge vanished again, reappearing back in Philadelphia, where it started, but that the ship had gone back in time 10 minutes. The story itself is considered a hoax for a few reasons. The general lack of evidence. The man who first reported it, Carl Meredith Allen, admitted that he made up the story, and the deck log and war diary of the USS Eldredge show the ship was not in Philadelphia between August and December 1943. While I could probably spend the rest of this podcast explaining the details of this hoax from a real-life standpoint, I think that is enough information about the real-world hoax to prep you for what Project Rainbow is within Assassin's Creed. Within the series, Project Rainbow is only seen within the comic Assassin's Creed Conspiracies, after being mentioned within an email in the first Assassin's Creed, and the Facebook game, Assassin's Creed Project Legacy. The known history of Project Rainbow starts within World War II, a world conflict that the Templars instigated by using the puppets they had in power. Eventually, those puppets became hard to control, and the power they had within Nazi Germany was dwindling. This led the Templars to want to create the atomic bomb, but one Templar, John von Neumann, had a different idea, and that was the assassination of Adolf Hitler before World War II. Von Neumann's plan to kill Hitler was turned down by the Templars, so he turned to the assassin Boris Pash, who was a colonel in the United States Army. Colonel Pash cut a deal with von Neumann after hearing his theories on Die Glocke. Von Neumann felt that Die Glocke could allow them to alter the course of history by killing Hitler before his rise to power, if they could find a way to anchor a person's body and soul in the present. This plan started with Pash recruiting Eddie Gorm into the Assassin Brotherhood and tasking him to assassinate German Obergruppenführer Georg Kramer, who intended to use Die Glocke to raise through the Templar ranks by using it to find pieces of Eden and use them to create weapons. While Gorm failed in February 1943, he ended up succeeding in July with the help of Julia Dusk. After the assassination, not only did the Die Glocke fall into Pasha's hands, so did Apple of Eden number 4. Unfortunately for Pash, though, Gorm and Dusk were informed by Nikola Tesla, who the pair rescued from Kramer, that he was working with the Templars. This revelation led to a conflict that ended up causing Julia's death and for Pash to escape Gorm's justice. By October 29th, von Neumann had found a way to anchor a person's body and soul, so Die Glocke and the Apple of Eden were installed in the USS Eldredge, while it was at the Philadelphia Shipyard. Eddie Gorm made his way onto the ship and assassinated Nikola Tesla, whom von Neumann was able to convince to help, with the thought that his death would lead not only to the cancellation of the test, but also the cancellation of the nuclear bomb that was in development. A confrontation between Pash and Gorm ensued, and ended with the suicide of Eddie Gorm. The experiment itself has gone undocumented, but an email from 2012 stated that Animus Subject Number 12 recovered information from an ancestor indicating that the USS Eldredge manifested itself in a future state for approximately 18 minutes. According to Alan Ricken's email, Abstergo had enough data to reconstruct and repair the original artifact used in the experiment, but administration refused to move forward, worried about time paradoxes, and followed corporate policy for any object found to interfere or manipulate time by moving the artifact into secure storage. I know I've said this before, but I have to say it again. One of my favorite things about Assassin's Creed is the ability to take hoaxes, conspiracies, and pseudoscience and put them in history, explaining them as something that was written out of history because of its connection to the Isu. This is absolutely one of those instances. The idea that a ship went invisible and traveled through time is something that is right up the alley of Assassin's Creed, though I do have a problem with the implementation of the story. The basic idea is that the Apple of Eden powered Die Glocke in the hope that it would allow them to reach through time and kill Hitler in the past to change the present. Without going into too much into what Die Glocke does, as that's a podcast within itself, what we're being told is that the experiment somehow caused the USS Eldredge to manifest in a different time. My issue is that right now we know the hoax and that it's real and what led to the experiment, but we never see the experiment itself. Was it the death of Tesla that really led to the issue that caused Die Glocke to fail and von Neumann to be moved to the Manhattan Project? Would his presence really have helped the experiment succeed? Another issue that I have with the way that story is presented is that Eddie Gorm is shown committing suicide. And seeing Eddie Gorm's suicide, because we are supposedly seeing this through the DNA of his grandson, Maxime. And if that's the case, it should have cut off the memory at conception of Maxime's mother, Julia. But for some reason, we see all the way through. So that also makes me hesitant to believe everything that we saw with Project Rainbow. The last thing that I want to bring up specifically is the mention of administration within the email from Alan Ricken. When Assassin's Creed first came out, it was believed that Ricken was the leader of the Templar Order as he was the CEO of Abstergo. But eventually we started to hear of the Inner Sanctum of the Templar Order, the Guardians, the General of the Cross, and the Council of Elders. And each of these groups either held more power than Ricken or were positions that he also held. So it seems to me that as time went on and the modern-day Templars hierarchy was expanded on, they were able to fit one of these governing bodies into the quote-unquote administration that Ricken was talking about, though we don't know exactly which one or if it was all of them. I know it's information that we probably won't ever get. It's information that could be tied into other stories, though, especially when it comes to the fourth Apple of Eden. But what do you think about Project Rainbow? Let me know over on Twitter at visions_AC. Thank you for joining me today. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for new episodes. If you love stories about Assassin's Creed lore, please tell your friends and follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform. Do you want to support this podcast and help provide new episodes? I'd love for you to buy me a cup of coffee at bit.ly/visionscoffee. If you have any questions about Assassin's Creed or topics that you'd like me to cover, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at visions_AC, or you can check out my brand new TikTok at Visions of the Past Podcast, and you can find all of those links in the show notes below. Until next time, my assassin friends, make sure to follow the creed, and to those Templars listening, may the Father of Understanding guide you.